10 reasons the Emotions came apart after the biggest hits of their lives. And number 1 is going to bother you, because there was never a breakup, no farewell tour, no announcement, no date you can point to. Just a group that was the biggest thing in America in the summer of 1977, and then quiet, sisters, gospel voices, a number 1 record, and a disappearance nobody ever explained. Number 10, they were never supposed to be a pop group. Before there was a number 1 record, there was a basement on the south side of Chicago and a father with a plan. Joe Hutchinson taught his daughters harmony and guitar before most kids learned to read. Wanda, Jeanette, Sheila. They sang gospel in Chicago churches as the Hutchinson Sunbeams, and if you grew up in a church where one family sat down front and carried the whole room every Sunday, you already know exactly what this looked like. They opened for Mahalia Jackson. They made their first televised appearance in 1958. They were children, and they kept changing names. The Sunbeams, the Heavenly Sunbeams, Hutch Stereos, 3 ribbons and a bow. That one was their father's idea, with him on guitar. But here's the part that gets skipped. The move out of gospel and into secular R&B wasn't their idea. It came from Purvis Staples, of the Staple Singers, who was managing them and suggested they make the turn. The most important decision of their career was somebody else's suggestion. Think about that for a second, because it becomes a pattern. They won a talent contest at the Regal Theater in Chicago. The prize was a record deal in Memphis. Volt Records, Stax. And in 1969, So I Can Love You, a top 40 pop hit and number 3 R&B, written by Sheila, who was 16 years old when it came out. 16, writing hits. And here's what still gets me. Even after they'd gone pop, even after the charts, they went back. In 1973, for the Stax film, they performed Peace Be Still from the pulpit of Friendly Will Baptist Church in Watts. Church clothes, no disco, no orchestra. They spent their whole career living in 2 worlds and never fully choosing one. That's not a flaw, that's attention. And attention that big doesn't stay quiet forever. Number 9. The lineup was already negotiable before the fame ever arrived. Most people think the Emotions broke apart after the hits. The truth is, the cracking started 7 years before anybody outside of Memphis knew their names. In May of 1970, Jeanette got married. She left the group. Not a fight, not a scandal. She wanted a family, and she went and had one. And if you've ever watched somebody you love choose a completely different life than the one you'd planned together, you know it's not anger you feel. It's something quieter, something that doesn't have a name. So their father did what a family business does. He replaced her with their cousin Teresa Davis, so the group would still be family. Problem solved. The records kept coming. Show Me How, My Honey and Me, The Machine Held. But look at what that established. The group could survive losing anyone. And once that's true, it never stops being true. Jeanette came back in time for the Columbia deal. She's on Flowers in 1976. Everything's whole again. For about a year. Then, 1977 happens. Jeanette steps back from public performances. She's still on the recordings, but she stops appearing live. Her youngest sister Pamela steps in for the concerts and the television spots. So think about this. That summer, the group you saw on TV singing the biggest song in America, that wasn't the same three women who made all of it. The lineup on stage and the lineup on the record had already split apart. So the things I don't know. Nobody announced that either. By the time they were world famous, the Emotions had already learned how to lose a member without stopping, which sounds like strength. And it is. Right up until the day you need to know who's actually in the group, and nobody can tell you. There are so many things. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8. They already broke up once, 2 years before the biggest record of their lives. Here's what's wild about the Stax years. The Emotions didn't leave Stax. Stax collapsed underneath them. By 1973, the label was coming apart financially, and the sisters were in the middle of it. Everybody needs a penny for a rainy day. They had recorded a full album called Songs of Innocence and Experience. It was shelved when Stax became financially unstable. A finished album, their work, locked in a vault. Stay with me, because this is the part that's hard to sit with. That album didn't come out in 1973. It came out in September of 2004. 31 years. They released a few more singles trying to keep something moving. Put a Little Love Away in 1974 scraped number 73 pop. That's not a hit. That's a group treading water while the building sinks. And then in 1975, Stax was gone, bankrupt, done. Now here's the fact almost nobody mentions when they tell this story. By 1975, with the label defunct, the Emotions briefly disbanded. Read that again. The Emotions broke up in 1975. 2 years before Best of My Love, 2 years before the Grammy, 2 years before they were the biggest female group in the country. So when people ask why they fell apart after the hits, they're asking the wrong question. They'd already fallen apart before them. The hits were the interruption. The falling apart was the baseline. Everything after 1975 was borrowed time and somebody else's money. Number 7. The sound that made them famous wasn't theirs. The comeback is a great story. It's also the beginning of the problem. Maurice White, Earth, Wind and Fire, and arranger Charles Stepney knew the sisters from Chicago, and they signed them to Columbia through White's Kalimba Productions. White had drummed behind these girls back when they were teenagers playing Chicago dates. That relationship was real. Flowers comes out in June 1976. It's gold by January 1977. They're back, completely back. Then comes Rejoice, and the song. But here's the thing about Best of My Love. It was written by Maurice White and Al McKay of Earth, Wind and Fire, and produced by White with Clarence McDonald. And the vocal that made it immortal, that impossible soaring line, wasn't natural for them. Wanda has said White pushed her to sing an octave higher than she was used to, and that when her range went up, her vibrato tightened. That sound, that's a producer's idea, executed by a singer being stretched past her comfort. Now put it next to what we said at number 10. Sheila wrote their first hit at 16. These were songwriters. Early on, the sisters penned many of their own biggest records. And the moment they became superstars is the exact moment they stopped being the authors of their own sound. I'll say this plainly, and I know some of you will disagree with me. I think that trade cost them more than anybody wanted to admit in 1977. Because when the sound belongs to somebody else, you don't own the thing that made you. You're renting it, and rent comes due. Number 6. The hit was too big to ever follow. Best of My Love was released on June 9, 1977. It went to number 1 on the Hot 100 and number 1 R&B, and it held the top of the pop chart for 5 non-consecutive weeks. A Grammy for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a Duo, Group, or Chorus at the 20th Annual Grammy Awards. An American Music Award for Favorite Soul R&B Single. Joyce hit number 7 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the R&B album chart. Maurice White himself said it was the biggest single he was ever part of. Number 1 pop, number 1 R&B, number 1 disco. That's not a hit. That's a monument. And here's the problem with a monument. Everything you do afterward stands in its shadow. Don't Ask My Neighbors, a gorgeous Skip Scarborough ballad, went to number 7 R&B. By any normal measure, that's a triumph. Next to a 5-week number 1, the industry read it as a step down. Sunbeam arrives in April 1978. Gold, number 12 on the Soul album chart, number 40 pop. Smile goes top 10 R&B. Gold album, top 10 single, and people started using the word sap. When your ceiling is set at number 1 for 5 weeks, great starts to look like failure, to the label, to the press, and eventually, this is the dangerous part, to you. Feel that feeling when you do something so well one time that nobody ever lets you just be good again? That's where the emotions lived, from 1978 forward. Number 5. They sang on one of the biggest records of the decade and watched it walk away. You've heard it. You've heard it at a wedding reception, at a roller rink, in a car with the windows down. Everybody has heard it. Boogie Wonderland, released in April 1979, credited to Earth, Wind and Fire, with the Emotions, off the album I Am. Number 6 pop, number 2 R&B. Gold in the States, platinum in the UK, and a Grammy nomination for Best Disco Recording. That's their voices carrying the whole top end of it. And here's something most people never knew. Ali Willis, who co-wrote it with John Lind, said it was never meant to be a happy song. It's about people living for the nightlife while their lives fall apart. The morning after look in the mirror. A song about emptiness that everybody dances to. Fitting, given what happened next. The Emotions wanted Boogie Wonderland on their own album. It wasn't included. It stayed on Earth, Wind and Fire's record. And then it gets worse. On the Unsung episode about the group, the Emotions said they received no royalties for the song at all. They pursued it, a claim for unpaid royalties. So sit with this. One of the defining records of 1979, their voices are the reason it soars, and by their own account, they didn't get paid for it, and it didn't even count as theirs. If you've ever done the work and watched somebody else's name go on it, you know that specific sting. It's not just about the money, it's that the world sees the thing you made and thinks of someone else. That's a wound that doesn't close, and that one landed while they were still on top. Number 4, the floor they were standing on got demolished. The summer of 1979 is the exact moment the culture turned on disco, hard. Overnight, radio programmers were running from it, labels were burying it, and any act with disco in its bloodline was suddenly radioactive. Come Into Our World came out in October 1979, 5 months late, to a party that had just been shut down by the fire department. The album wasn't a commercial success, and it produced no major hits. The single What's the Name of Your Love stalled at number 30 R&B. And this is where it stops being about talent. Nothing about those women got worse. Their harmonies were still the harmonies. The taste of an entire country changed while their record was in the pressing plant. Then the structure itself failed. They made one more album, New Affair, in 1981. But Arc, the label the whole thing was routed through, went defunct that same year, and by 1982, they were released from Columbia entirely, gone from the label, just like that. You know what's cruel about it? They'd already survived this exact thing once, when Stax went under in '75. They knew the feeling. They'd learned to rebuild from nothing. They just didn't expect to have to do it twice in 7 years. And the second time, they were older, the money was in dispute, and the man who'd rescued them the first time was about to become part of the problem. Number 3, they had to let their own father go. This is the one that costs something. By the mid-'80s, 2 things happened close together. The sisters made a full break from Maurice White and his production company, and they made the decision to replace their father as their manager. Their father, Joe Hutchinson, didn't just manage the Emotions, he made the Emotions. He taught them harmony as small children in that Chicago basement. He named them, renamed them, and kept renaming them until one stuck. When Jeanette married and left in 1970, he was the one who brought Teresa in to keep the group in the family. Every door they ever walked through, he opened. And after the labels folded and the royalties went sideways, they had to sit in a room and decide that the man who built it couldn't run it anymore. If you've ever had to make a business decision about a family member, where you're 100% certain it's the right call, and it still feels like a betrayal walking out of the room, you know there's no clean version of that conversation. You don't get to be right and okay at the same time. Soul Tracks calls it exactly what it was, a difficult decision. That's a very polite phrase for something that changes a family forever. And here's what I keep coming back to. The Emotions were never a band that happened to include sisters. They were a family that happened to make records. So every professional break was also a personal one. Every business rupture went straight through Sunday dinner. You got to say just what's the reason. You can replace a manager. You can't unfire your dad. That's the difference between a group falling apart and a family falling apart. And by 1985, they were doing both. I don't think you really want me. Number 2, nobody was buying them. Everybody was using them. Somebody else has got my time. You read it all. Watch what the 80s actually looked like for them. 1984, they reform as Wanda, Sheila, and Pamela, and put out Sincerely on a small Chicago label, Red Label Records. The singles chart, barely. 1985, Pamela leaves. Adrienne Harris comes in. They sign to Motown and release If I Only Knew, and it produced no charting singles at all. The Motown contract was over almost as soon as it started. Motown, no charting singles. That's how far the ground had shifted. Now here's the part you're not ready for. While the Emotions couldn't get arrested on the radio, hip-hop was quietly building itself out of their catalog and not from the hits. Blind Alley, a deep cutoff untouched from 1971, never a single, never a chart record, turned out to be one of the most sampled recordings in all of pop and hip-hop. Big Daddy Kane's Ain't No Half Steppin' in 1988 is built on it. Mariah Carey's Dream Lover in 1993. Pete Rock and CL Smooth after that. An album track nobody bought became more influential than everything they released on Motown and Red Label combined. And it goes further. In 1991, Maurice White sued Mariah Carey and CC Music Factory, claiming her #1 single, Emotions, lifted Best of My Love. He said it wasn't sampling. He said the whole song was taken. It was settled out of court. So in the same decade, the group couldn't get a single on the radio. Their catalog was valuable enough to fight over in a courtroom. Whether you call that a resurrection or a robbery, honestly, I'll let you decide. I know where I land, but I know it's not unanimous. Number 1, there was never a breakup, and that's the saddest part. Here it is, the reason you searched for this and couldn't find a straight answer. There is no breakup date. There's no final show. There's no statement. Because the Emotions never ended. They just thinned out. Look at the shape of it. 1996. They put out a live album on their own label, Sunbeam Records. 1997, a stage musical about their lives, bigger than bubblegum, opens at the Pasadena Playhouse. In 2000, Jeanette leaves and Pamela comes back in. In 2001, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation gives them the Pioneer Award. 2003, they're back with Earth, Wind and Fire on All in the Way, and it goes top 15 on adult R&B. 2006, they're on a Snoop Dogg record. 2009, Sheila steps away, and Wanda's own daughter joins the group. Members leave, daughters step in, it keeps moving, and then September 18th, 2020. Pamela Hutchinson died at 61. The family said she'd been fighting health challenges for several years. Their statement ended with the line, "The whole world already knew. You got the best of our love. That's not a breakup. Nobody quit. Nobody stormed out." And in September of 2025, the Emotions were given a Lifetime Achievement Award in Chicago, the city where a father taught 4 little girls to sing in a basement. Here's what gets me. We ask why groups break up. Because a breakup is clean. It gives you a villain and a date and a reason. But most of the time, that's not what happens. Most of the time, a label folds, a check doesn't come, a sister gets married, a style goes out of fashion in one summer, a father gets older, and one day you look up and the thing you built is still technically there, just not the way it was. Nobody killed the Emotions. Time did, and the industry helped.